On this edition of Gameball College Kickoff, we're going to be doing a recap of what games went down in Week 3. Also, we got some exciting matchup we're going to go over in Week 4 upcoming. So it starts right here, right now, only on Gameball College Kickoff starts now. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Game Ball College Kickoff, where the football season never ends. I'm your host, Michael O'Reilly.
And I'm Marcus Young Genius Jenkins.
We're going to be doing a recap of what went down in Week 3. Also, got some very exciting matchup going to the conference week in Week 4 of the college season. What do you have for us today?
All right, to kick off things with our recap of Week 3 of the college football season, we're going to start things off with Clemson and Louisville. A big contest for both of these guys, a huge test is what I meant to say. However, Clemson was able to overcome Louisville by a score of 47 to 21. Kelly Bryant was huge in this game, 22 of 32, 316 yards and a touchdown in this contest. Travis Etienne, another big game, 6 carries, going for 98 yards and a touchdown, which was an 81-yard run in the fourth quarter. Lamar Jackson, another great game for him for Louisville, going 21 of 42, 317 yards in this game. 3 touchdowns, one interception, which was a pick six for 44 yards in the third quarter. He also had 17 carries for 64 yards. How would you break down this contest?
Well, Clemson played Clemson, and they did what they needed to do against Louisville. And the reason why I wrote with Clemson to win this game because they're more disciplined. They've been there and they've done that, and they won bigger games. The defense played outstanding ball against Louisville's offense. They was able to keep Lamar Jackson clogged in the pocket, not let him get outside and make plays. Also, keep them in check and run a game. Also forced turnovers as well, and defense responded with the pick six. So the defense did this job. As I was alluding to a week ago, this might be the best defensive line we ever seen out of Clemson. Last year we thought that was the best defensive line, but the coaches keep reloading and get more players on defense. Now, give a lot of credit to defensive coordinator Vanderbilt, who I think is one of the most underrated defensive coordinators in the game. He creates different plays to throw your offense off. And Clemson's offense was well, especially Brian, who passed the big test going on the road in a hostile environment. Played big in the passing game as well as the running game, got 2 rushing touchdowns. And the running backs did their job, and the receivers did their job by getting open and getting separation and make big plays. That played favor into Clemson to win this game. Louisville, not so much. They still have young, experienced players, especially in the secondary. They can't clean up penalties, and they also had too many turnovers on offense, which led them to being blown out. Now, Lamar Jackson wasn't himself, and closing the games, yeah, because it was garbage time and they got more yards. But throughout this game, Lamar Jackson wasn't Lamar Jackson at all. He was basically held in check, and he looked lost out there. They just kept him clogged in the pocket, and he wasn't efficient or accurate in the passing game. Defense gave up big plays, and that resulted into points as well. So the defense has to clean up their act. They have to go and start over on the fundamentals, getting tackling well, make better plays on defense. Also, not have too many penalties. Offense has to go back and look at the drawing board as well and look at the fundamentals. If they can do that, Louisville will be able to win more games. But against the experienced Clemson team, they've been there and done that. It wasn't the case. So that's why Clemson was able to overthrow Louisville in their stadium.
Defending champion Clemson, looking like they haven't missed a step going to this season. So far 3-0, passing another big test against the Louisville Cardinals on the road, like you mentioned. So a huge win for the Clemson Tigers.
Huge win.
All right, so the second recap that we're going to talk about is a game that definitely lived up to the hype indeed, and that is the USC Trojans taking on the Texas Longhorns. Now, the thing is with this, of course, not the same faces, not the same players. Of course, we know that these two teams matched up 10 years ago in the national championship game. A lot of big names were in that game as well, starting with head coach Pete Carroll, who's now with the Seattle Seahawks in the National Football League, Matt Leinart, as well as Reggie Bush. Vince Young was also a part of that big game. Of course, not the same magnitude. However, this was definitely an exciting game to watch if you were able to catch this one. USC barely escaped this one. It took them 2 overtimes. They were able to overcome by a game-winning field goal and a score of 27-24 in this matchup. A great game on Texas' side. Sam Ehlinger, 28 of 49 for 397 yards and 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. One was converted into a pick six in the second quarter of that game. Deontay Burnett, 8 receptions, 123 yards to go along with 2 touchdowns in that contest. Sam Darnold for the USC Trojans, 28 of 49, 397 yards. Sam Ehlinger was 298 yards, just to clarify that, as well as 3 touchdowns in that contest. Deontay Burnett was also with 8 receptions and 123 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that was for the Trojan side. So I do apologize about that. To step back in that game. A well-played game, however. How would you break down this matchup?
Well, I thought this matchup was going to be one-sided by USC, but it led up to the hype. Texas had heard it all week long how terrible their defense was, how was they able to stop the USC offense. So they took that to heart and they took pride, and they played well on defense. They got after him, they forced him out of the pocket, they forced 2 interceptions, 1 return back for a touchdown. Also, they kept them in the game. And they could have made more plays on defense to win this game, but at the end, USC was able to outplay Texas defense to win that game. Now, for USC, their offense has some struggles of stopping Texas defense, especially the offensive line, due to injury, due to inexperience, and they took advantage of that. That offensive line was flat out getting beat up and getting beaten off the edge, and 9 times out of 10, if you watch that game, the quarterback was either getting hit or getting sacked. So what USC did was make some adjustments here and there. They was able to make some plays, especially the touchdown play at the end of the first half to take the lead. Now, they had some mistakes here and there, and at one point they was down by 3 points in close to the end of regulation with 34 seconds left. Sam Darnold, the quarterback, was calm, cool, and collective. He didn't panic. He led his team down to the field to set up the game-time field goal to go in the first overtime. In the first overtime, the offense was able to score a touchdown on 1 play. Then the defense, however, saved them from losing this game because defense-wise, they was dealing with some injuries here and there. They lost some key players that didn't return. Also, in the second overtime, they was able to force a fumble out of the quarterback's hand of Texas to recover it, and was able to give their offense back to ball. Was able to get a little drive going here and there, nothing fancy, and able to kick the game with a field goal and double overtime to win this game. So things that USC has to clean up. They have to get protection right. They have to be able to run block. They have to be able to keep Sam Darnold clean in the pocket. They have to be able to establish the run and get that running game going. On defense, you got to get everybody healthy and to cause havoc. If you can do those things, USC can win some games down the line. But overall, it was a very close game. And now with Texas, they play extremely well on defense and offense. They make plays, but 1 costly turnover lost them that game was on the quarterback sneak. Instead of holding the ball with two hands, he held the ball with one hand and was able to strip it from it. If he held the ball with two hands a lot tighter, it would have been Texas game over. But it was that one costly turnover that lost them the game, and unfortunately, it played in USC's favor to win that game.
So definitely a big win for USC. However, a potential missed opportunity, like you were just referring to, for the Texas Longhorns in that matchup. We're going to move on to the third recap, and that is between the Kansas State Wildcats, and they're taking on Vanderbilt on the road. Big 12 versus SEC. You don't really hear about matchups like that very often, but this one was definitely, seemed like very defensive minded more than anything. Vanderbilt was able to emerge victorious against the Kansas State Wildcats. And just a side note, this is the first win for Vanderbilt against a top 25 opponent since 1946.
Wow.
So Vanderbilt, the quarterback Carl Shermer in this game, 14 of 23, 205 yards in this contest, with one touchdown. Also a 2-yard touchdown run with 8:23 left in that fourth quarter to kind of break the game open for Vanderbilt in this contest, and they didn't look back from that. On the Kansas State side of the football, Jesse Ertz, 10 of 28 in this game, 76 yards and 2 interceptions. However, he did rush 24 times for 126 yards, and K-State's solo touchdown in this contest. How do you break down how Vanderbilt was able to beat Kansas State?
Well, Vanderbilt was able to take advantage of K-State's mistakes, especially on the offensive side. They had 2 key turnovers. Now they was able to play good enough defense to win this game. They did end up giving up a play and giving up a touchdown. But overall, Vanderbilt played extremely well on defense. Yeah, they might give up 100 rush yards to Ertz, but they was able to keep everything in front of him and not get a big play. Also, the special teams, a little concerned here and there. They gave up a punt return for the touchdown, but it was called back due to a holding call. So if that wasn't the case, that could have been a different outcome of the game. But overall, Vanderbilt played smart, physical football, especially on defense, to keep K-State from scoring more points. Now the offense did well. They was able to get some plays, do nothing fancy, keep the ball away from K-State, chew up some clock, and at the end, they was in the red zone. They took advantage of a quarterback run for a touchdown to win this game. Now for K-State, they had missed opportunities. They had a touchdown that was called back, and they had a punt return for a touchdown that was called back due to a holding. You had too many turnovers. That is not like K-State football, the Bill Snyder era, who really does not beat themselves with penalties and mistakes. So that was the different outcome of this game. And the defense played well enough, but they needed to make that play, and they did not make that crucial play to keep Vanderbilt out of the end zone. So if they can work on those things, they'll be fine. I'm not really worried about the defense too much because their defense is legit. The offense struggled, and they could not produce, and they had too many penalties. If you had too many penalties that called back for touchdowns, you're not going to win games, and that was costly for K-State, and they didn't win this game. And especially on the fourth down where they needed to make the play, the quarterback was trying to scramble for the first down and couldn't make it. He was stopped short. So you have to go back to the drawing board, fix what you need to fix, especially on the offensive side, clean up the penalties, and you can find yourself winning more games. This could have been a statement for K-State going to the Big 12 week 3-0. Instead, 3-0, they're 2-1.
And could have been coming into Big 12 play off of an SEC opponent victory on top of that. The question I have to ask for you is, how does K-State clean everything up, and how they bounce back from a missed opportunity like they had?
Well, they have to clean up with the penalties, especially the holding penalties. They have to go back to the drawing board, and they have to be a little bit more consistent in the passing game, because you're going to run one of those teams that is going to force you to throw the ball a lot. They're going to stop your run and force you to beat them in the passing game. The passing game has to come alive. The offense has to be more balanced. If the offense is more balanced, then K-State can be back to themselves and win some games. But the offense wasn't balanced, especially in the passing game. The passing game has to come along, and the players have to make plays, and they have to clean up the penalties. Like I was saying, the defense I'm not worried about. Is the offense that needs to get better. If the offense gets better and complements the defense, then you can find K-State in a close game and win some close games. And don't take nothing from Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt came to play. They had something to prove. And when their backs went against the wall, they came out and delivered, and they were 3-0 going to the SEC week.
So, unfortunate, a missed opportunity for Kansas State. You can definitely say, would you agree with this? Not to make this cheesy or not, but would you say maybe the moral of this story, maybe check yourself before you wreck yourself?
Exactly.
Going into the fourth and final recap of the week, of the week, would be between the Florida Gators and the Tennessee Volunteers, which came down to the wire off of a game-winning touchdown in this contest. Florida was able to escape by a score of 26-20 in this game. Felipe Franks, 18 of 28, 212 yards in this game, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Tyree Cleveland, 5 receptions, 93 yards and 1 touchdown. For the volunteer side of the football, Quentin Dormady, 21 of 39, 259 yards to go along with a touchdown, but 3 interceptions in this contest, including a pick
six.
Oh my
goodness.
Yeah. 3 interceptions, which is costly, which definitely I would imagine would make the difference in this game. One was a pick 6 for 16 yards and a touchdown in the fourth quarter. John Kelly, 19 carries on top of 141 yards and 1 touchdown. He also ran for 6 carries and 96 yards. How would you break down this game for the Gators?
Well, I'm going to start off with Tennessee. Tennessee lost this game of not taking advantage of opportunities, penalties, and stupidity. When I mean stupidity, it's the last play of the game. You give up a Hail Mary pass for a touchdown. It's not, you can't really say it's Tennessee's fault on the players. You have to say it's the coach's fault on the Tennessee side. Because the coaches was the ones that made that call. That drives people insane when you play basic cover 2 instead of a prevent defense, 3-man front, everybody else at the back of the end zone to stop a big play like that. Or you could call a dime. Basically, it's a prevent, but different. You just drop everybody back in coverage, knock the ball down, give potentially interception. That wasn't the case. They played basic man coverage 1-on-1, and what happened? Florida receiver ran right past them. The deep post route turned to a vertical route and ended up being touchdown to win the game, 1-on-1 matchup. You can't do that. You have to have everybody back at the end zone to knock the ball down to either send it to overtime or get an interception to send it to overtime. Either or other, you still have to make better play calls than that. Now, you can't have too many turnovers on offense and expect to win the game. Now, the rushing game came alive, and the defense still has some work here and there, but at the end, Tennessee had too many turnovers, and it was a bad play calling by the coaching staff, especially the head coach of Tennessee. This could likely cost him this job at the end of the season, because this was a big game for Tennessee to win going to the SEC conference. If they would have won this game, they would have been 1-0 and leading at the SEC East Division, but that's not the case. They made a mistake, and they find themselves in the hole trying to get them out. The question is the other teams are going to lose in the SEC East Division for Tennessee to rise up and take that spot back? The answer is more likely not. We don't know. We'll have to see as the season progresses, especially in the East. Now, Florida, they still have some fixing here or there doing the offense, but the defense kept them in this game because Tennessee had a chance to get this game wide open, but Florida's defense was able to play. They were able to stop the run, force 3 interceptions, and also give the ball back to their offense to win this game. The offense wasn't too bad, wasn't too shabby. They was able to do enough to win this game, and that Hail Mary pass in regulation, now they should feel lucky for that because Tennessee made the wrong play call. For all you upcoming coaches out there, Pee-wee, whatever, high school, whatever you're in, do not call basic 1 coverage on a Hail Mary in the regulation. prevent or dime defense. 3-man front, put everybody back in the end zone. I could have made a better call that way. My 3-year-old nephew could have made a better call than that. His 8-year-old son could have made a better call than that. I'm just being realistic, and I'm just being brutally honest. Do not call cover one at the end of the game on a Hail Mary pass. Call a prevent or a dime cover zone defense. Then you be able to win the game.
Blown opportunities is also, it seems like week 3 was also a theme of quality wins, but also a lot of missed opportunities that could come back and haunt a lot of teams moving forward when you talk about the college playoff, being ranked in the top 25 and so forth. So we'll definitely see what happens moving forward in week 4. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into week 4, and we're going to talk about the top 4 matchups that you picked out for us to check out here on Gameball College Kickoff. The first matchup that we're going to talk about is TCU taking on Oklahoma State. Now, Oklahoma State is off of a win versus Pittsburgh, a big win for them, beating Pittsburgh by a score of 59-21 behind Mason Rudolph's 5 touchdown passes in this contest.
He also balling. That boy is balling.
Absolutely. And on top of that, mind you, 497 yards in that game as well. Only 1 pick, so a monster game from Mason Rudolph. So if you haven't heard of this man, trust me and believe, ladies and gentlemen, you will hear about this man moving forward. Justin Hill.
He's coming.
Yes, he's coming. Absolutely. I strongly agree with that. Justin Hill, 11 carries, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns in this contest. Wide receiver Jalen McCleskey also contributed with 7 receptions, 162 yards, and 3 touchdown receptions as well in this contest. For the TCU Horned Frogs, they're coming off a win against SMU by a score of 56-36. One of the best plays, arguably this might be the best play of the year. I know we're still only going into week 4, but if you have not seen this play, I strongly recommend that you YouTube this or however you can find this play. But this was Jalen Reagor, their wide receiver. An impossible catch between 4 defenders, mind you. And this was to end the first half off of a leap between 4 defenders for a 38-yard touchdown reception.
It was nasty.
To end the first half. So, I mean, that was definitely one of the best plays and arguably one of the best catches, maybe on either level, college or NFL for that matter. Kenny Hill, 24 of 30 for 365 yards and 4 touchdowns in this contest. Darius Anderson, 14 carries, 89 yards as well as 2 touchdowns. Kavontae Turpin was also huge, 7 receptions, 88 yards and 1 touchdown. Based off those facts, how do you like this matchup?
Well, I like this matchup going to Big 12 because a lot of pressure is riding on TCU. Excuse me, not a lot, but there's some pressure riding on TCU to win this game, especially on the road in a hostile environment in Oklahoma State. Now, TCU was able to be balanced in the running game as well as the passing game. Now, the defense, even though they gave up 36 points, played well. They was able to get a pick 6, and they was real physical with SMU's players and just kept everything in front of them. They was able to get pressure. They was able to stop the run and force SMU to make mistakes. But now that's SMU. You're going to Oklahoma State. That is one of the big power dogs in the Big 12. Excuse me, one of the big dogs in the Big 12. Possibly a contender for the college playoff. So what TCU has to do is have that same attack mode on offense. Just be balanced, get some plays, be consistent, get key first downs, and get some passing game going, especially with the play action. Also, run some quarterback draws with Kenny Hill here and there. And the defense has to play 60 minutes of good defense against this very talented Oklahoma State offense, which is loaded with weapons. Running back, tight end, receivers, you name it, they are loaded with weapons. Also, the quarterback can take off when he needs to. So TCU has a challenge and has their hands full against a very good Oklahoma State offense. If they can do that and not have penalties and not have turnovers, especially on offense, they can win this game. Now, for Oklahoma State against TCU, do what you do. Just be in balance, play good football, get your playmakers involved early, and also on defense, be real physical against TCU. Make them a one-dimensional football. If you make them a one-dimensional football team, that plays in your favor. Stop the run and force TCU to beat you with a passing game. If you can force them to beat them in the passing game, that gives opportunity for the secondary to make plays and get the ball back to their offense. Now, Mason Rudolph, this boy is special, and I think, in my opinion, he's one of the underrated college quarterbacks in the nation because he doesn't get much recognition, much credit as he does. He's very good throwing arm. He's very accurate in the passing. And he also can run when he needs to for first downs, which he doesn't run a lot. He's more of a true pocket passer, which you need. He's big, 6'4", 6'5", 230 to 240 pounds, and he's a very good playmaker. And watch out for this game. I'm very excited. And it could get ugly at one point. It could be very interesting. We'll just have to see going forward in this Big 12 matchup.
So a huge contest for both of these teams. Big 12 play opening up this weekend as well. This could also be a potential just like highlight reel after highlight reel it seems, but definitely like we were saying earlier, Mason Rudolph, I can't say that name enough. 4 touchdowns, 497 yards. Pretty solid.
And if he continues to play like he's been doing the first 3 weeks, watch out. He could be a candidate to win the Heisman Award this year.
Be on the lookout for Mason Rudolph, but definitely a great game nonetheless to open up Big 12 play. Once again, TCU taking on Oklahoma State this Saturday. The second matchup that we're going to talk about is USC taking on the University of California. We already know that USC escaping Texas 27-24 out of 2 overtimes in a game-winning field goal. Now Cal, however, is coming off a win against Ole Miss by a score of 27-16. Ross Bowers, 24 of 47 in this game, 236 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Patrick Laird, 22 carries for 78 yards and 1 touchdown. Kanawai Noah, 6 receptions for 81 yards. Tell us about this matchup.
Well, this could be a trap game for USC because they're coming off an emotional win, especially against Texas, like the little revenge win. Also, Cal is one of those teams you cannot take lightly. You can't take them for granted. You got to take them seriously. USC has to clean up on offense. As I was alluding to earlier, they got to do a lot of cleaning up, and they have to be better in the pass protection, keep Sam Darnold clean in the pocket. Also, the defense has to get healthy. If the defense gets healthy, be able to make plays, then they can win this game. So those are the things for USC to work on and going forward to win if they want to keep their winning streak going. Also keep their name in the playoff contention. Now for Cal, if you want to get an upset, take a page of what Texas defense did to USC's offense. Create different types of pressure, exotic blitzes, and also take advantage of that right side, which is their left side of the ball on the offensive line, since they have problems protecting the quarterback on that side. Get some corner blitzes going. Get like a middle linebacker delay blitz. Do some stunt blitzes here and there on that side. Keep the running game in check. Also be real physical with the USC receivers. Do not let them get behind you and make plays for a big game or a touchdown. And the offense has to be consistent. Get the running game going as well as the passing game. The key thing is being balanced. If you can be balanced against a very good USC team, Cal has a chance to win and upsetting and ruining USC's college playoff hope chances.
So definitely another big test for the USC Trojans taking on, once again, they're taking on Cal in this contest. We'll see how they'll bounce back after escaping Texas. I can't wait to see if if they learn from their mistakes against Texas. Of course, this one is definitely not a high magnitude like it was in the last contest, obviously, but still, this is an opportunity for them to make a statement. And it seems like a pretty deep Pac-12 team this year. We're going to go into the third contest, and that is Mississippi State taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. Mississippi State off of a huge win against then ranked number 12 LSU. They won by a score of 37-7. Nick Fitzgerald, big time with 2 touchdown passes and 2 rushing touchdowns in this contest. Eris Williams contributed with 23 carries as well as 146 yards in this contest. Keith Nixon, 6 receptions as well as 97 yards and a touchdown for that game. Georgia also coming off a win against Samford by a score of 42-14. Nick Chubb, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns off of 16 carries. Freshman Jake Fromm, 3 touchdown passes in his first home start, as well as going 8 of 13 for 165 yards. Terry Godwin, 4 receptions, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns. What do you like about this matchup?
Another SEC battle for first place crown, potentially first place crown in the SEC East. Now, Mississippi State against LSU, they beat the brakes off of LSU. Bad, I mean really bad. Made LSU look foolish. Their defense played extremely well, stopping the run and forced LSU to be a pass-happy offense to create turnovers and take advantage of it. And the Mississippi State offense was able to take advantage and score points and touchdowns. So they have to continue doing that. And the defense, they have to stop the run. You have to force Georgia to be a one-dimensional offense. If you can do that, Mississippi State can win this game. Force the young quarterback, a freshman quarterback, to beat you. Make him prove that if you want to play with the big dogs, your quarterback has to beat us with his arm. And defense, just keep being defense, as I was saying. The offense has to do what the offense do, be consistent, be balanced, get some running game going, and be consistent in the passing game against a very good Georgia defense. They have, in my opinion, one of the best front sevens in the SEC, especially their pass rusher is phenomenal. And the linebacking core, they can run sideline to sideline. And for Georgia's side, you have to be able to run the ball effectively, get Chubb going, and get some first downs, chew up some clock, and also do what you do with the passing game. Be consistent, get some easy paid calls for the young quarterback, and the receivers step up and make some plays to help that young quarterback. Now, defense, just keep being the defense, stop the run, and force Mississippi State to beat you with their passing attack. Now, Georgia got some edge rusher that can rush the passer and stop the run. It's going to be real tough for Mississippi State to stop those two, especially the whole front seven and that defensive unit. I'm excited to see this matchup.
And another big test for the Georgia Bulldogs, who seem like they're on the up and coming, it seems, also going into college football, as well as having an opportunity to make a name for themselves outside of your Auburns, outside of your Alabamas, and make a name for themselves in the SEC. So this is definitely a big matchup for this, for that conference, and also the nation moving forward this Saturday. The fourth matchup and the final matchup that we're going to talk about for this segment is Penn State taking on Iowa. Penn State coming off of a shutout win against Georgia State by a score of 56-0 in that contest. Tracy McSorley throws for an 85-yard touchdown pass, which became a Beaver Stadium record. Saquon Barkley was on the receiving end of that history-making play. He also would throw for 3 more touchdowns, going for 18 of 23, 309 yards, and 4 touchdowns as well. Saquon Barkley, 4 receptions, 142 yards. Also, he would go for 10 carries in this game for 47 yards. For Iowa, they're coming off a win against North Texas by a score of 31-14. Nate Stanley, 16 of 27, going for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. Akron Whaley, 2 receptions and 80 yards. Iowa coming to this game starting 3-0 for the season. How do you like this matchup?
Well, this could be a very good matchup. I think it's going to be a dogfight. For Penn State, you can't treat this matchup lightly. You have to take it seriously. This could be a trap game for Penn State, especially going in a hostile environment with Iowa, where top teams either lose by close game in points or barely win close game in points. So what Penn State has to do, they has to keep laser focused and keep doing them, which is continue to run the ball and get some consistent in the passing game. If you can do that, the offense will be successful, be able to chew out the clock, be able to wear the defense down and have them on their heels. Now, the defense has to play good against a very talented Iowa offense, especially at the skill set. They have to be physical. Penn State defensive line has to be able to penetrate, get to the backfield, stop the run, and put pressure on the quarterback, force him to beat you in the passing game. And the secondary has to step up against this talented Iowa offense and play very physical football and keep everything in front of them, not get big plays. If Penn State could do that on offense and defense and not have mistakes and not give up big plays or penalties, they can win this game on the road in a hostile environment. Now for Iowa, you have to stop Penn State's running attack. They like to run the ball, ground and pound. If you stop them and you can force them to beat you in the passing game, then Iowa did their job on defense. Now the offense, I'm a little concerned because at times they could be inconsistent, but they have to get off a fast start. If you want to win against a very good team, the reigning Big Ten champions, you have to start off fast and you have to score touchdowns. You can't settle for field goals. I mean, points is points, but you want to settle with touchdowns. If you settle with touchdowns, you put more pressure on the Penn State offense to score and get to a hurry up. If you can do that, you're making life harder for Penn State or to come back and take the lead. So either or, but if Iowa can do that, they'll win this game at home and get an upset win.
So this is definitely a big test for Penn State. It seems like they're on the rise. It seems again since their days when they were head coach under Joe Paterno and his staff. So it seems like this is an opportunity for them to kind of build their program back in and kind of separate themselves from that era, so to speak.
And also you had that scandal with Jerry Sandusky as well. So they're still overcoming that.
Absolutely.
As well, and that will never be erased. The only thing you can do is continue to win, but at the end of the day, it's still going to stick. So Penn State has to keep winning to put themselves into playoff contention.
So definitely an opportunity for Penn State to kind of, in a way, not necessarily rebuild themselves, but kind of separate themselves from what was history, what was also a lot of things that kind of came along with that.
Right,
so this is definitely a great opportunity for not only Penn State, but like you talked about Iowa, they could come away with a big win in this contest. We're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into predictions. We're going to start with TCU and Oklahoma State. Mike, who do you got?
Let's do it. I got Oklahoma State winning this game. I think Oklahoma is too much for TCU, especially talent-wise on the receiver and running back. And I think Mason Rudolph's going to have his way with the secondary of TCU, and the TCU secondary will not be able to challenge Oklahoma State's receivers. Now, if you shut down one player, you're going to have to shut down another player because last game against Pittsburgh, they had 3 players that went over 100 yards. Now, you rarely hear that. If you have 3 players go over 100 yards, you got a very talented squad and a high-powered offense. So that's the reason why I'm going to go with Oklahoma State to win 38-20 in this game.
I'm going to go with you. I'm going to also say Oklahoma State, but I will say this, ladies and gentlemen. I just think in this game in particular, Mason Rudolph, we know, it's going to be yet to see if he can duplicate his performance like he had against Pittsburgh. You got to think about also TCU and the plays they were making on offense. I think it's going to be high scoring nonetheless. I'm going to say Oklahoma State will pull off in the second half. I'm going to say this is going to be a high scoring affair. I'm going to say 38-30 is going to be my prediction for this contest. The second game prediction, USC and California. Who do you have?
I want to pick I want to pick Cal to win this game, but I'm going to pick USC to win a nail-biter, a late field goal to win this game. 20-17. I think USC be able to clean up their mistakes here and there, but I think USC will make more plays than Cal to win this game.
I'm going to say USC in this game. I expect them to come out and kind of took up the problems that they had against Texas. I feel like there is pressure in this game, but there's not a game of a higher magnitude. I just think all the history and everything that went along with that game, I think in some ways kind of played a role in performances both by USC and Texas. I expect USC to be a lot more cleaner in this game. This is still their game to lose against California, with USC starting to come back into the top 25 conversation. They're definitely starting to make a name for themselves since the departure of Pete Carroll. I will say USC wins this game. I'm going to say they're going to come out and win 28-14 over California.
And they're also overcoming what happened to the Reggie Bush scandal as well, because they lost scholarships and vacating wins. So this is a statement for USC to win. If they can keep winning games, they can beat the USC of old from back in the day and find themselves in the 14 playoff conversation.
A huge game for a Pac-12 opener, USC and California. We're both riding USC. The third one we're going to talk about, Mississippi State and Georgia. Who do you like?
It's going to be a dogfight to the end. It's going to be which defense makes more plays at the end. And I just trust Georgia's defense more to make more plays at the end than Mississippi State. Now, a few weeks back, when it came time to make plays against Notre Dame on fourth down, Georgia was able to get a strip sack and recover the fumble to win that game. So I kind of see a repeat in that. Instead of sack fumble, just get a stop, a run on fourth down, knock a pass play down, or get a crucial sack on the quarterback. So I am picking Georgia to win this game. I want to say a line of 20-13.
I'm going to agree with you on this one as well. I'm going to pick the Georgia Bulldogs. This is an opportunity for me, for Georgia, who seems like they're back on the up-and-coming scale. I think this is a big test for them to show that they're for real. So I think that they're going to find a way to overcome this against a huge SEC opponent. I like Georgia winning this game. I'm going to say 21-14 in this contest. I like the Bulldogs.
Well, if Georgia wins this game, they could be ahead of the SEC East Division. So this is big for Georgia. They have everything riding, and it took them a while to get back to the conversation of champions in the SEC. So I feel like Georgia has enough players to be able to make plays and get after it. So I like Georgia to win this game.
In the final matchup, Penn State, Iowa. Who do you got?
I got Penn State winning a close one on the road. It won't be easy. It'll be another dogfight, but at the end, I see Penn State coming out on top winning this game. I'll say the score of 22-16.
I'm going to go with Penn State in this contest as well. This is another opportunity for them to now start conference play and prove they're for real. I like Penn State in this contest. I think they'll pull away late. I'm going to say they're going to win 28-21 in this contest. So that's going to conclude our 4 matchups for Week 4 of college football right here on Gameball College Kickoff.
And you can follow me on social media, Twitter at capital GAMEBALL_NYKE. That's the capital M at Twitter. You can also follow me on Facebook, Gameball College Kickoff / Gameball LFL Endzone. You can also email me at it's gck.gnfle@gmail.com. You can also subscribe to me on YouTube at gck.gnfletv. And your social media?
You can always follow me on Twitter at JovelENT. That's JOVELLEENT, all one word. Same thing as the Instagram page as well. And if you hit up on Facebook, you can find me under Marcus JovelENT Jenkins.
Alright, that would do it on this edition of Gameball College Kickoff. I'm Michael Riley, and this is Marcus Young, Jenkins, by saying have a safe, blessed night, and be good. This is Gameball College Kickoff podcast, where the football season never ends. Peace. We are out.